Well, what more should Canada be doing in the diplomatic, now economic fight with China? Let's bring in three members of Parliament from the foyer of the House tonight to talk about that. Omar Alghabra is the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Trade. Luc Berthold is the critic for agriculture for the official opposition Conservatives. And Tracey Ramsey is the Justice and International Trade critic for the NDP. It's good to see all of you tonight. Mr. Alghabra, let me start with you. I know the Conservatives want you to get tougher with China and cancel investment in the Asian Infrastructure Bank and file a complaint over canola with the WTO. Why does your government reject those ideas?
First, Peter, it's good to be on your show. Let me tell you and assure our viewers that the Canadian government stands firmly shoulder to shoulder with Canadian farmers. Canadian farmers produce the best quality canola quality in the world. And we are working around the clock since this incident started a few weeks ago with farmers, with provinces, with the Chinese government to resolve this issue. We believe the best approach is to take a science-based approach. Political escalation is not going to help our farmers today. But we're examining all options. All options are on the table. We're certainly examining WTO route. But we believe that the best way to resolve it as quickly as possible is to follow a science-based approach to resolve it with our Chinese counterparts.
It's a science-based conflict, though, or is this a diplomatic problem based on Canada's arrest and detention of Meng Wanzhou? How closely are those two things connected for you?
We are taking the Chinese at their word. They're saying this is an issue of testing and infestation. So we want to pursue this matter. We think political escalation is not going to help our farmers. It's short-sighted, it's reactionary, and it's unhelpful. What we want to do,
Mr. Alghabra, I'll come back to you. But Mr. Berthold, relations with China, we know can be complicated. How do you know that taking tougher measures won't simply escalate the dispute and make matters worse?
That this is not a technical issue. We all know that this is not a pest issue. CFI reassure us about it. They checked the canola there for twice and three times, and this is not a technical issue. The Ag Minister requests a meeting, a technical delegation to be sent at China to verify it, and she didn't have an answer. She didn't receive an answer yet, so it's clear by our side that the technical pretension of China about the pest in the canola sent there is not true, so we must be firm. How can we deal with this? We do not have any ambassador to China since 3 months now, so who are we talking with? The Ag Minister saying that, oh, we have video conference with China, but nothing happened. So
you think it's time to get tough?
Time to get tough.
Okay.
The waiting time is over.
Tracey Ramsey, what's your view on this?
Well, it's time to do something. I mean, they could, of course, name an ambassador. That's critical. And not just for the reason of the canola. Obviously, we have Canadians that are detained, that are being given death sentences. There are very serious issues with China. We could talk about other trade issues like the steel. But going back to the canola, things that we could do for our farmers right now are to increase the cap, to offer them more supports. They are stuck in a cycle where they already have canola that's ready to go. They have the seed. They can't do anything with this. They have to plant it. They have to get going into their season and their cycle. So what they want is some assurance that they're not going to lose everything because they are quite clear this is not a legitimate scientific issue. This is retaliation for the detainment of the Huawei executive, Ms. Wanzhou, and they are asking for some concrete steps here that the government can take. And having conversations at this point when we have no diplomatic equivalent in China is a mistake.
Okay.
We need to name someone and show China that we're very serious about that, and part of it is naming an ambassador now.
Very quickly, where are you on the Conservative suggestion that we should be pulling support for the Asian Infrastructure Bank, essentially taking measures to send a clear signal to the Chinese that we can retaliate as well?
We never should have been part of the Asian Infrastructure Bank to begin with, as far as the NDP is concerned, and that was our position from the beginning. We're, supporting the privatization of public infrastructure. That's not something that we should be doing in another country. And when we're talking about coal, that China's investing in coal in other countries right now, when Canada is trying to be serious about climate change, these things don't add up. We shouldn't be putting money into foreign countries for their initiatives when they are mistreating Canada when it comes to trade.
Okay. Mr. Alghabra, can you give us some idea of, the government has hinted, the Prime Minister did it again today, that some sort of financial aid package will be coming for canola farmers. When can we expect it, and what should they expect?
Look, first let me say I also understand the frustration and the anxiety that farmers are going through today. And I want to repeat, this is an important and a high priority issue for our government. The Prime Minister has talked about an announcement coming soon. I don't want to preempt the Minister, but expect an announcement soon that will contain some new development. And let me also address this point. We have a Canadian representative today in China.
All right, Mr. Nichols
Mr. Nichols there is a veteran diplomat who understands China, who has a relationship with China, who has been advocating on behalf of Canada and Canadians. And let me just...
Are you going to name an ambassador soon?
Other issue, Peter.
Are you going to name an ambassador soon?
Look, the selection of ambassador is an important decision that requires vetting, requires time to assess.
Okay.
But let me
hang on. Let me frame a question for you here. Last night on this program, Canada's former ambassador to China, Guy Saint-Jacques, said that he's been told more Canadian exports to China will soon be targeted. He says it is time to get tougher with the Chinese. He knows them. He suggested expelling Chinese athletes training in Canada and telling the Chinese we won't pursue a free trade deal with them until this gets resolved and gets resolved quickly. What do you think of those ideas?
Look, the Prime Minister and our government has not shied away from being tough on the international stage. What we want to pursue is
hang on. We'll get to your two colleagues in a second. Finish, Mr. Alghabra.
In lives at stake. We have Canadian farmers' best interests at stake. We can't just be reactionary. We have to be deliberate. We have to be thoughtful. And, it's interesting to see the opposition leader, Andrew Scheer, is joining the ranks of political leaders around the world who are reactionary, who want to build barriers, who want to increase tension around the world. We don't believe that's helpful. Yes, our Prime Minister has been tough when it needed to be.
No.
And today,
okay, go ahead. Mr. Berthold, go ahead.
No, it's incredible. It's just talking, and no action. No action. This crisis take time. It's been 2 months now that we know, and yesterday, after the leader of the opposition made this strong statement, we heard from the Prime Minister that in few days we will have something to say. Canola producers don't have few days to wait. They are right now in the seeding season. They are waiting for something to happen. They are losing money. Yes. One of them just talked on our Ag committee that $150,000 are at stake for his own farm. So if you just imagine the amount of losses they face, and what they are saying is that, now we will just wait and things will resolve by themselves.
Okay, Tracey Ramsey, let me finish with you. Is the most urgent thing here while this continues for the government to try and get some kind of financial support for Canadian canola farmers? Because I think that's probably what we're going to hear. And that, as you said, perhaps raising the cap and removing the interest part of repayments for a while till this gets settled.
Absolutely, but China isn't playing fair. No. And China isn't playing fair on canola, on steel, on a bunch of other commodities that they're threatening us on, certainly on human rights. And our country and our Prime Minister continues to treat them as though they're a fair and equal partner to us. They have not been. So now is the time for us to have a very serious conversation about where we go and how much longer we wait. Mr. Alghabra is asking us to wait. Again. And so how long will we wait? Steel producers have been asked to wait. They're illegally dumping steel in our country and costing us jobs to manufacturing communities. Now farmers have been impacted in a very serious way. Yes, we need the money to go to the farmers. We need an ambassador as soon as possible. Okay. We need a trade mission over there as soon as possible. A conference call isn't going to cut it.
All right. Thank you all for your time tonight. We'll continue to follow the story. Appreciate you giving us your perspectives. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.